At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too. Because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Well, happy Monday morning to you. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. You're watching Coffee with Krueger every weekday morning at 6:30 in the morning. And we're starting off with our photo of the day. And went for a nice walk with my wife last week. And she took some beautiful shots. She loves to check out all of the wildflowers. I think like a lot of people, right? And we were out with her dog, Nessie. And look at this beautiful shot looking out at Nessie and the beautiful wildflowers kind of on the hillside there. Absolutely gorgeous shot. By the way, if you want to send in your photos, you want to share yours and see them right here on Coffee with Krueger or even on the morning update, you can do that very easily from the free Weather NorCal app on your iPhone and on your Android. Just search for Weather NorCal in the App Store. Also, if you're watching from your TV or if you're watching from your computer and you have your phone available, just go to your camera and point it right there at that QR code in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, right down there. See right down there? You'll see it there, and it'll take you right to the page where you can easily upload it to your phone from your, like I say, to your Android or to your iPhone as well. So be sure to check that out. All right, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Monday, May 5th. It is Cinco de Mayo. And, you know, it's kind of funny. You see the memes on Facebook or social media in general, and, you know, it's like Americans on Cinco de Mayo celebrating, drinking beer, the works, right? Then, of course, you look at, you know, the Mexicans in Mexico in general. They're just hanging out, sitting on their couch, not doing anything because it's not really a big celebration for them. It's kind of something we started. I think bottom line, America always finds an excuse in a way to celebrate something that allows you to have an excuse to drink a lot of beer. That's really the bottom line. All right, so that is looking at Krueger's Quickcast here for your Monday, May 5th. We're going to start you out the door this morning. We've got clear skies out there this morning. Temperatures in the low 60s at 8 o'clock this morning, in the 40s for the higher elevations. And looks like even in Modoc County, a little bit on the chilly side, looking at temperatures in the upper 30s by 8 o'clock this morning. It's a fairly mild start to the day in the valley in particular, especially with those winds blowing. We're sitting at 64 degrees for Redding, Chico 60, and 64 degrees right now in Oroville. Now, there are some spots along in the valley, especially east side of the valley, where the winds probably won't be as strong for you today, but they will be gusty, especially on the north and west side of the valley, and even the coast may see some gusty winds as well. There still is a wind advisory until 8 o'clock this evening, with those winds sustained out of the north at about 15 to upwards of 30 miles per hour. Quite honestly, I think they'll be on the lower end of that. It's the gusts that we could see eventually upwards of 40 miles per hour or higher through this afternoon. Take a look at the wind gusts out there right now, and as expected, mostly on the north and west side of the valley. And you can also see some gusty winds east of the valley and some of those foothills as well. A bit gusty out in Crescent City, but Eureka not as bad. There you can see by 8 o'clock this morning, we're seeing those gusty winds. Again, you can see the strongest will be in the valley and those foothills. Noon, still pretty gusty winds. By the afternoon, we're still pretty gusty out there, although the wind should start to subside, but still on the breezy side, even as we go into your Tuesday morning. So the wind's sticking around for some of us here, even into tomorrow. Now, if you look at the swirling area of low pressure to our south and east, you see over Vegas, Phoenix, Denver, for example, you see that swirl, that counterclockwise swirl, and of course the rain rotating around that low pressure system. That is the area of low pressure. High pressure is out to our west over the eastern Pacific. We're in a bit of a squeeze play right now, and that's what's giving us those gusty winds that we're seeing. Now, we look at Futurecast here, and you can see nothing going on with those clouds, right? We got plenty of sunshine throughout the day today. Eventually, by this evening and tonight, though, we may see some low clouds and fog develop around Humboldt Bay and into the inland there, making its way into the Inland Valley around Highway 101. But otherwise, not looking all that bad. Plenty of sunshine. So for today, temperatures mid to even some upper 80s for some of the warmer spots in the valley. We're mainly in the 60s and 70s. Really, a lot of 70s for the higher elevations. But for Trinity County, you're in the low 80s. It's also the case inland. And for the coast, temperatures somewhere in the low to even some mid 60s, like around Trinidad. Now for tonight, Upper 50s for most of us in the valley, 30s, 40s for the higher elevations, and looks like in the mid to upper 40s tonight for the coast. We take a look at our 7-day forecast. Now, it's going to be windy in the valley, breezy still tomorrow, especially around Redding and Red Bluff. The wind's probably not as strong for places like Chico. Now, it's going to remain dry. Temperatures kind of going up and down a little bit here. We got a little mini roller coaster ride, but we are going to peak somewhere around Friday to Saturday with temperatures low to even mid-90s. And then low to mid-80s here by Sunday. You notice the temperatures are dropping on Sunday. That's because some of the long-range forecast models are showing the potential that as early as Sunday, places along the coast and west of the valley could see a chance for some showers, and that could continue into Monday for everyone of next week. But at this point, it's not guaranteed. That's why I just put the word chance in there, because the thing is, we're looking a long ways out, and the forecast models have not had the best track record, anything past 7 or even 8 days. So we're just going to keep an eye on that, keep you updated. If you have any outdoor plans, especially this weekend and early next week, do note that you're running into the potential, especially as early as Sunday for some, and Monday with that chance for some showers. That's a look at Krueger's Quickcast. Let's take a look at some of those cameras out there this morning. Taking a look at Lake Oroville. There you can see the winds are a-blowing. You can see those waves crashing. You can see the leaves blowing there on the left part of your screen there, and the lake. I mean, yeah, looking a lot of ripples in the water because the wind is blowing over that surface of the water there. Looks a little breezy out there in Chico as well. You can see the winds blowing. At least the camera is still staying fairly steady, so not too terribly strong there. The winds are blowing the camera, though, on Highway 99 at Neal Road. Of course, that's just an indication of the gusty winds we have out there this morning, even around the Oroville area. Now, this camera is not in motion, but it is gusty and breezy and borderline windy, depending on where you are, in the Redding area right now as well. So we've got that going on. We take a look at Crescent City. And let's see if that camera's still in motion. It is. It doesn't look like the winds are blowing too much there. At least if it is, it's not blowing around the camera. That's for sure, but a beautiful sunrise shot there nonetheless. So turning out to be pretty good. All right, we take a look at some of the, we'll kind of keep that up. That's a nice image to kind of wrap things up here. We have got, you saw that when we were doing the intro here, Happy Cinco de Wino. If I'm not mistaken, Jay does have a winery. It actually has grapes and does his own wine. So maybe people like to drink wine on Cinco de Mayo. But I think beer is like the bigger choice of a lot of people. And probably like, Mexican beer. I don't know. Not much of a drinker myself. I don't really drink much of any kind, whether it's wine, beer, or whiskey or whatever. Not a big drinker. But I think it's beer. I think beer is the big one. But yes, Cinco de Wino. I think a lot of people like to drink their wine as well. We got Ruth Sanchez checking in this morning. She's saying, good morning, everyone. May you and your day be blessed. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Ruth. Same to you. Of course, today is Cinco de Mayo. Yesterday was May the 4th be with you. And of course, a lot of nerds and a lot of Star Wars nerds like to go with that one. And then we got Curtis Brown this morning checking in this morning, saying good morning, Mike, and everyone. Good morning to you, Curtis. Hope you're having a good day so far there in Tehama County this morning. Well, what do you say we get to it and take you right to our deeper dive forecast? Now, as you know, Wind River is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, let's get you right into it. Take a look at those current conditions out there. But before we do that, once again, I want to take a nice little shot of my dog. Look how beautiful she is. Isn't she just a beautiful pup? And look at that. I mean, just kind of in that beautiful surrounding with all those wildflowers. Now, there's a spot that I take her for her walks, and this is one of the spots out here, and my wife was able to capture this. Just a beautiful, beautiful shot there. It's interesting. I took her out for a jog with my buddy on Sunday. She's got a couple of dogs, so it's kind of a little fun for her to play with some dogs. She was being super, super stubborn. She was stopping. She didn't really have much interest in walking or jogging with us. She would just stop and plant it. I would get, several hundred yards away from her and she wouldn't move. So we had to kind of cut it short here for the day. So kind of interesting. I don't know if she was feeling bad. She pretended she had something in her paw, but then realized that wasn't working, so she stopped limping again. I mean, I looked to see if there were any thorns and there was nothing there. So interesting. All right, I could go on and on about that, but she's a beautiful dog nonetheless. If you want to share your photos and see them right here on Coffee with Krueger or even on the morning update, it's very easy to do that from the free Weather NorCal app. You know, I love to see all of your beautiful shots here if you're on a hike, your dogs. Hey, share pictures of your dogs. Share pictures of anything you really want. Anything, and I mean obviously G-rated, right? But there's your photos here. Go to your iPhone. You can also do it from your Android. And if you don't have the app, all you have to do is just search for Weather NorCal in your app store, and you're good to go. All right, let's take a look now at our temperatures. It's pretty mild in the valley, and that's because we have the gusty winds there. Now, we have the winds blowing from the north, and that's why we have those fairly warm temperatures in the valley. Now, winds are a bit calmer in Chico, that's why it's not as warm there, but we do have that little bit, that northeast wind coming down the mountains there for Oroville, and that's why you're seeing it at about 64 degrees. And of course, you saw the lake, right? It was blowing over there. Temperatures mainly in the mid to upper 30s off to the east, low 40s in Siskiyou County, but cold this morning in Trinity County. Look at that, 32 degrees, Hayfork about 28, 40 degrees for Willow Creek, and 49 degrees in Crescent City right now. So here's a look at your headlines. Gusty north winds to start the week. I do expect weaker winds on Tuesday, but still breezy, especially for the valley. There's also a warming trend this week. Could get into the 90s, in fact, even well into the 90s for the valley by the end of the week. And to start off your weekend, and showers possibly by Sunday to Monday of next week. Nothing guaranteed, but it is something I'm watching here. Model's kind of backing off now. The latest model's backing off on the overall timing of it on Sunday, and the intensity. But there is that chance, nonetheless, coming into Sunday to Monday. So really what we're looking at here is, see the spin right here? There's a counterclockwise spin. That's an area of low pressure. You see the arc in the clouds? That's high pressure right here. We're in a squeeze play between high and low pressure. Usually between the two of those, you're in the middle, and you see that nice, strong north wind. Not nice, but you know what I'm saying. That north wind blowing here because of that high pressure to our west. Now, this is something you may have seen on social media over the last several days, and that is a big omega block over the United States. This is something that's been making headlines here for the last several days. And essentially, number one, it's called omega block, right? Because if you look at the jet stream, if you know what the Greek letter omega looks like, it's this. It's that right there. Now that high pressure is called a block, an omega block, because the high pressure blocks any storms from really, hitting that area where that high pressure is. And on either side of it, you got an area of low pressure. So it's not really the main impact for us. It's impacting different parts of the nation for different reasons, right? Because of the positioning of the omega block on where they are. For us, it's off to our east. So the low pressure to the west of the main high is right here of the desert southwest. But for us, also another area of high pressure, which is over the eastern Pacific. Remember I was talking about that squeeze play, right? You got that jet stream right on top of us. That's what gives us the windy conditions. But what's happening as we go into tomorrow, you see how it's shifting eastward? Now that high pressure over the eastern Pacific is over us. Now the winds will still be breezy Tuesday morning, and as we kind of continue to see that shift to the east, those winds will progressively start to die down. But I do expect those above normal temperatures here as we go into the next few days. There is a wind advisory until 8 o'clock tonight. North winds on average at about 15 to upwards of 30 miles per hour. But basically those gusts most likely over 40 miles per hour later this afternoon and into the evening. Now the winds, as you can see here, were anywhere from about 15 to over 20 miles per hour. Not terribly strong right now, but they will pick up here once the sun comes up and starts to kind of mix things up a little bit here. A little breezy out towards Crescent City as well as we look at those winds. Now, going into the afternoon, here's midday, afternoon, there you can see 20, 30 miles per hour. Those gusts. Now, I think they're going to be stronger for, say, midday, and then they'll progressively get a little bit weaker here as we go into this evening. Now, notice what happens, though, as we go into tomorrow morning. I mean, we're still over 20 miles per hour, especially for the north and west side of the valley, but even those foothills seeing some gusty winds. And look at the coast. Look at everywhere else. It's actually not that bad. We go into your Tuesday afternoon, and you'll see here the wind's much calmer Still out of the north a little bit here, and a bit of a north wind here for the coast. Now, what's interesting is we go to Wednesday, a little breezy, but more of a southerly flow of winds, and could see the 10 to 15, close to even 20 miles per hour, a little bit more on the breezy side off to the east, but not too bad out along the coast. So yes, the main wind event should be over by tomorrow, but still a little breezy in some spots here, even for tomorrow afternoon in the valley. There's some of the fog we could see develop here later tonight for Humboldt Bay and down the Highway 101 corridor there, but otherwise sunny skies for everyone today and tomorrow. You can see even midday for the coast, you're seeing mainly sunny skies, but then we start to see a bit of a marine layer begin to develop here as we go into Tuesday night, and in particular for your Wednesday. So we'll call it mostly cloudy here for the coast, and even a few clouds beginning to develop for some of the higher elevations, but overall we're looking at dry conditions here in your forecast here this week. Let's take a look at futurecast here, just kind of taking you through time here. There's a look at Thursday. We go into Friday. You've got that ridge of high pressure in place. Now as we go into Saturday, still dry. Sunday, you see what's happening here as we go into Sunday. We've got this main area of low pressure right here. Now, in advance of it, there may be a few showers that may develop here for parts of Siskiyou, Trinity County, westward into Del Norte and Humboldt counties. Then that pushes through Sunday night into Monday, giving everyone a shot for some showers, including the valley. But the overall timing, the overall intensity of this is something that's still a bit of a big question mark. So that's something we'll be watching here very closely. At this point, I'm not too terribly confident in the fact that we're going to see a lot of rainfall out of this system coming in by Sunday into Monday. But the Climate Prediction Center is putting us in the lowest category of above normal rainfall. Basically, the chances of seeing above normal rainfall very slim, much higher of seeing it above normal rainfall. We're not in that darker green. We're just in the very light shades of green here, and then of course near normal down into Southern California. Temperature-wise, yeah, we're warming up, but no major heat wave. Yes, we're getting into the mid-90s in some areas here, and even some upper 90s for some, but not quite reaching 100. And that's going to be a bit of a mini heat wave, if you will, entering our picture by the end of this week into the first half of the weekend. But I'm not expecting anything major. As you can see here, we go into Friday, Saturday, that's the peak right here, right? And then temperatures start to drop again. This dip in the temperatures is also that indication of that chance for showers early next week before we climb back up into the low 80s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Taking a look at your lake levels, we're continuing to see it slowly drop for Lake Shasta, but otherwise we're seeing that continue to slowly climb for Trinity Lake and Lake Oroville as well. Still very, very healthy lake levels here. Nothing to be concerned about, even when we start to see that little bit of a minor drop. Still, Shasta Lake, 96% of its capacity right now. So we look at the wave heights. They are starting to slowly retreat here today, and that's why that's why we're going to start to see just better conditions if you do need to be on a small boat, and that continues into tomorrow. Now, your marine forecast, still gusty this morning, but again, they will start to subside a little bit here. But there is a hazardous seas warning until 9 o'clock this morning, but after that, we should start to see conditions improve if you do need to be on a small boat. All right, here's your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. We've got those temperatures slowly creeping up. We're talking upper 80s by Friday, Saturday. I have included a slight chance for showers on Sunday for Trinity County, but temperatures today right around 80 degrees along the Highway 299 corridor. As we take you down to the south, temperatures more like the mid-70s, give or take, although Hayfork, a high of about 81 degrees for your daytime high. We take you out to southern Humboldt County, where temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 70s from Miranda down to Garberville, 71 for Red Crest and Honeydew, and looks like Shelter Cove, about 66. Everywhere for the North Coast, both the coast and inland, seeing that chance for showers as early as Sunday going into Monday. Temperatures mainly in the low to mid 60s for Ferndale and Rio Dell, 64 degrees in McKinleyville, 84 for Willow Creek, and looks like Hoopa about 83 degrees. We take you up north with about 73 degrees for Gas Key, Smith River 76, and Orleans a high of about 79 degrees. All right, let's take a look at your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast. Highway 96 corridor, upper 70s to about 80. We're talking mid 70s here for the I-5 corridor there. Temperatures in the low to even mid 80s by Thursday, Friday. Friday. There's that chance for showers as early as Sunday going into Monday. Same story for Scott Valley. Temperatures low 70s there, although in Fort Jones, a high of about 74 degrees. Central and eastern Siskiyou County looks like Tule Lake about 67, Tennant about 66, and Mount Shasta City about 72 degrees. Here's your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures are going to be in the mid to even upper 60s. I've got you dry even through the weekend. It's not until Monday that Modoc County may see a chance for showers. That's also the case for everyone in the eastern mountains. Montgomery Creek 76, 71 for a high today in Bernie. Bernie, you'll get up into the low 80s, low to mid 80s by the time you go into Friday and Saturday, with another dip in our temperatures by Sunday. For Lassen Park, that is, temperatures in the low to mid 50s here. We've got mid to upper 60s here for the perimeter around the lake. There you can see out towards the south. Paradise, 80 degrees, 69 degrees for Mineral. Windy for Paradise, but those winds should subside by tomorrow. Mid 80s for Paradise on Friday, Saturday. Susanville, you'll be in the mid to upper 80s for Friday, Saturday as well. Your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south, mainly in the upper 80s here. Durham about 88, 87 degrees for Willows, and 83 degrees for Elk Creek, not Willow Creek, Elk Creek. We have a lot of community names with the word creek in them, don't we? All right, take a look at your 7-day forecast for Chico. Windy today, but the wind should subside. No, we're going to be flirting with 90 tomorrow. And, if we see 90 degrees for tomorrow in some spots, not out of the question, but it looks like it's going to be even warmer by the time we get into Friday and Saturday. Mother's Day is on Sunday, so don't forget your mother on today, or your wife, who is also a mother. Taking a look at those temperatures. Maybe not all wives are mothers, though. Temperatures in the mid-80s, 86 degrees for Redding, 85 for Cottonwood, 85 in Palo Cedro, and 81 degrees out in Lakehead and Whiskeytown. Taking a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. We got those temperatures. I mean, we're talking about a little mini roller coaster ride, if you will, taking you into the next several days here, really this week. So you can see the temperatures kind of going up, and then up even more Tuesday, then a slight drop on Wednesday, and then going back up again on Thursday, and then really going back up by the time we get into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those temperatures should be in the mid-80s for your Mother's Day. So we're actually kind of cooling off a little bit here, but staying dry for your Mother's Day. I don't think I hear anybody complaining about that. So that's what it's looking like here with that 7-day forecast. Again, really the main thing that we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of days are the winds. Today, that's the main headline, especially for the valley and even along the coast. Tomorrow, still a bit breezy for places like Redding down to Red Bluff, but probably not so much in Chico. And then should be looking at much calmer winds by the time we get into your Wednesday and for your Thursday as well. So it looks like that's what our forecast is looking like, folks, here. Looks like Lisa said she's late to the weather party, but she made it have a magical Monday to all. Well, thank you, Lisa, for checking in. I'm glad you could make it here. And by the way, if you don't have a chance or you can't check out the latest forecast here, or you can't get here early enough, and you want to watch Coffee with Krueger, it's very easy to do that. All you got to do is go to weathernorcal.com. Let's get you to that right here. And you can see this is, of course, the live stream that you can see right there, right at the very beginning as you're looking at the page. But you see where it says right here, Coffee with Krueger, weekday morning at 6:30. Click on that banner, and you can watch the latest forecast. Of course, it's Monday through Friday, so the one that's on there right now is Friday's edition. But all you got to do is wait until this is done. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and you'll be good to go. And you can, of course, watch it on the website, and you can also watch it there. By the way, this is something I forgot to mention, and we'll kind of go into this, but we're getting that time of the year, folks, where we're beginning to start to see more fires. There was a fire that developed yesterday known as the Pioneer Fire in western Tehama County, southwest of Cottonwood. You can see it right there. It's 68 acres, 50% containment. Now, based on the report coming in by CAL FIRE, it's 50% containment. However, forward progress has been stopped per incident command. So at least we're not seeing it grow anymore. We may see it grow a little bit more here, but the overall forward motion and movement of it, they've been able to stop it. So that is certainly some good news. Hopefully we can see this thing get up to 100% containment today. We shall see as we start getting more reports on that. But yeah, I mean, don't you hate it now? We're getting to that time of the year where I got to start reporting on fires. Here we go, right? Now, with the winds blowing from the north, this is what's going to be a big issue for us because that's going to start to dry the fuels. You may have noticed, and I'm noticing it on my hikes, it was just a few weeks ago, I'm walking around in green, beautiful, plush grasses. Now a lot of those grasses are turning brown, and we're going to start seeing that more and more, especially with these north wind events. Boy, the south wind is not as bad, but it still can dry things out. But it's that north wind that just sucks out all the moisture in the air and sucks out all the moisture in all the fuels. So we start to see very dry conditions out there, and that's why those north winds events, even if we're talking 15, 20 miles an hour, can be very dangerous because that can allow these fires to spread very rapidly. So we're kind of getting back on that train, folks, right? We're on the fire train now, and we need to start talking about that and having that in the back of our minds when we start thinking about our day, what the forecast is looking like, what are the temperatures, what are the humidities, what are the winds going to be doing here, especially as we go into the next, really through this month and into next month and get into the summer season as well. All right, so that is going to do it for us this morning. What do you say we wrap it up here with a couple of cool shots that we've got here access to? Everyone has access to them. And this is looking at Lake Oroville with the windy conditions there. That's going to do it for us this morning. We will see you tomorrow morning at 6:30. Have a great Monday.